but it says my sheep. And I wanted to draw that emphasis of why it's important for us to remain as sheep. He said, they shall never perish. If you read the Greek of that word, is right? Basically what it says, it cannot happen. Because 28 and 29 says, I give them eternal life, and no one is able to snatch them out of my hand. It can never happen if we are his sheep. Have you ever received a promise before? This is like Jesus making a promise. Have you ever received a promise before from anybody? Did someone promise you something? I was watching about a week or two ago this Family Feud Africa, where Steve Harvey goes to Ghana, goes to South Africa, and he's bought rights for the show, and his one of the questions they asked was, can you name a promise that people usually break? What promise do people usually break? So some of the top answers that came out is, 1, to be faithful, to call you back. I will not do it again. I'll bring it back. I will pay you. I will visit you. I will marry you. These are interesting promises that humans break, right? But Jesus here, like we make stories, and I don't know, maybe you've made a promise before. I think as I was listing them, you're probably thinking in your head, have I broken any promise before? I think I've broken maybe 1 or 2 of them. But Jesus Christ here is making a promise to us. He said, I give you eternal life, and no one can snatch you from my hand. It's a promise he's making. It's a statement. It's an emphatic statement. Like any promise, it's not worth anything if the person making the promise cannot fulfill it, right? If I promise you $1 billion, right? I come to Craig, I come to Michael, I say, I'll give you $1 billion. They might be happy for like a split second hearing the word 1 billion, but then the second question is, how much are you worth, right? How much money have you got in your bank account? So my promise is only as good as what I have to give. If I can't fulfill it, it's useless, right? But Jesus Christ is saying, I will not let anyone snatch them from my hand. No one can snatch them from my hand. He's making an emphatic statement, And what is interesting is he further secures it and brings his Father into the equation. He just doesn't say, look, I would give you eternal life and no one can snatch it from your hand. He says, I'll give you eternal life, and my Father secures it as well. He said, no, my Father who has given them to me is greater than all. No one can snatch them out of my Father's hand. So Jesus Christ first gives the promise and then further guarantees it with his Father. So in terms of like a promise, Jesus has made a promise, right? He makes a promise and then he adds the Father's promise as well to it, and he secures its family. He says, my sheep are in my hand, and no one can snatch them from my hand.